Hey guys, I'm here in Sylva, North Carolina, taking a zero at a friend's house, and I'm also taking an opportunity to replace a couple of my gear items that I'm just not really pleased with or haven't quite held up the way that I'd like them to. I have my raincoat that is a raincoat I've had for a while. It's an Eddie Bauer raincoat, pretty simple raincoat. It was pretty affordable. I already owned it though, and so I decided I wanted to replace that. It's just not vented well enough, and so I'm getting overheated, and that's not very helpful. I'm finding that I probably focused a little bit too much on uh, warmth and not quite enough on wind resistance and also water resistance. So I decided to go ahead and replace the raincoat. I'm also going to make a replacement for my rain pants. Haven't found what I'm looking for just yet, but I think I'll probably find that within the next day or two. Here's my new outdoor research 4A jacket. This is replacing my Eddie Bauer jacket. And the 4A has these long vents down the side. You can see it's pretty much the whole length of the side. It zips up, it zips down. It has a nice breast pocket, and you can see that the pockets vent through, which is really pretty nice. It also has a brim built into the hood, which is very nice. And this is Gore-Tex. My Eddie Bauer jacket has effectively no ventilation. Here's the Eddie Bauer jacket. You can see no vents at all. I mean, this was not an expensive jacket. It's great for day use or just walking back and forth to work or in the rain or whatever. But this is just not a backpacking jacket. Also decided to replace my Sawyer Micro Squeeze. Not because there's anything wrong with it. I left it in my backpack instead of putting it in my sleeping bag one night, and we had temperatures down in the low 30s, maybe even the high 20s, and it didn't flow right the next day because it was frozen. So I moved from the Squeeze Micro to the regular Sawyer Squeeze. If you saw my gear video, you saw that this is my water setup. It includes the Sawyer Squeeze Micro, uh, these adapters, some of which came with the thing and some of which I purchased separately, and a piece of surgical tubing. And I decided that the only thing that I really want to keep out of this kit besides the squeeze is the surgical tubing. The adapters have come to no use for me as of this point. So like I said, the squeeze itself got left in my backpack overnight, and I'm pretty sure is damaged, and so I'm replacing the micro with the full-size Sawyer Squeeze, and I'll use it the same, doing a gravity feed. My surgical tubing still works perfectly fine with that, and I think I'm going to be happy because the flow rate of the full-size Sawyer is supposedly better, and I think I've seen that firsthand actually. I also decided I'm going to replace my paper books with Kindle, and I've got the old school backlit Kindle here. Had this mailed to my friend's house, and was able to replace basically one for one the weight of a paper book with a Kindle, which offers me the ability to read at night. I'm finding that I'm not quite ready to go to bed when the sun goes down, and trying to read by the headlamp is a little bit of a challenge. So front lit Kindle, I think, is going to be a better solution. Battery lasts for weeks, so I think that's going to be a pretty good solution for me. So I'm also replacing my Serous Extreme all-weather gloves. These are waterproof, and they're well insulated, and they actually keep my hands dry, but I sweat in them so badly that I can barely get them on and off my hands. And when I purchased these, the salesperson at REI in Timonium, Maryland, suggested to me that I go with two-piece system, like so. Like these Manzella fleece jackets. I'll get you a better picture of those. I'm sorry, Manzella fleece gloves as a liner, and then something like these outdoor research waterproof gloves, two pieces instead of one. And while that seemed like a good idea, I thought I knew better. Turns out I think he was right. Like I said, the Serous Gloves are wetting out on the inside because my hands are just getting so sweaty, and of course they're taking on moisture on the outside as well. So it's just not the best solution. Here are the Serous Gloves. You can see they're a fabric that is absorbent on the outside, and they are watertight. I haven't had any problems with them getting wet, like wetted out, but I'm sweating them in, so it might as well be the same. And here are the Manzella fleece gloves. These are really pretty nice. They're lightweight, they dry pretty quickly, and my hands don't sweat in them too badly. And then of course the Outdoor Research outer waterproof glove. These are really nice. I can wear these just by themselves. They're very windproof, so if I just need just a little bit of protection and I'm not worried about sweating in them, these are a pretty good choice, because even if I sweat in them, it's not gonna make them too wet. I also made the decision to replace one of my two sets of base layer bottoms. I'm carrying two sets of base layer bottoms, one to sleep in and one to hike in on days that it's especially cold. I had a pair of 32 degree brand lightweight base layers that I had for quite a while. They were an extra large, which is just too big for me. And so when I was trying to combine them with my pants or wearing two pairs of base layers on the especially cold nights, it just was not comfortable at all. I was tangling up in them and stuff. And that's really not a problem of the base layer itself, but just the fact that they were too large for me. So what I did was I replaced them with the Patagonia Capilene pants, the Capilene base layer. There's a difference between the Capilene base layer and the cool layer. I have learned that one the hard way. Here are the Capilene base layer pants. I actually like these quite a bit. They're comfortable and they keep me pretty warm. They dry pretty quickly as well. This is my Capilene Cool Daily, and this shirt I thought I was going to wear on a daily basis. As it turns out, this shirt actually holds moisture a lot if I'm wearing it underneath something, and the only way that it's really useful is if I'm wearing it by itself, which is really a disappointment. You can see my local recovery group had our logo printed on some shirts, and I decided to have it printed on this shirt. This is just, I'm sweating in this shirt so badly, and it's just not wicking as quickly as I would like. So this is going to get replaced with the Capilene base layer. I think that's going to do a much better job for what I'm looking for right now. I'm also making one other substitution, sort of on the fly here. So I really like Darn Tough socks. I have been wearing those for a while, and I really enjoy them. And I have the heavier weight Darn Tough hiking socks, which I've carried along. Carried two of the heavier pair and one of the lighter pair, as well as a pair of Injinji socks. I found that I'm hiking more in that combination, one pair of liner socks and then a regular pair of Darn Tough. And when I take them off at night and when I get to camp, take them off, let them start to dry out, by the next day they're mostly dry, if not completely dry, which is just a much better solution than hiking in wet socks all the time. So here you see the heavyweight Darn Tough socks. Nothing wrong with them. I enjoy them quite a bit. They're just a little bit heavier and carry a little bit more moisture than I would prefer. And the lightweight Darn Tough socks and the Injinji sock liners. which so far I'm finding to be a better combination. I get the same amount of warmth out of the two pairs, but they dry much more quickly. So another adjustment that I've made is really not a gear adjustment, just the way that I'm using the gear that I have. And if you watched my gear video, you saw that I'm using this 20 liter Sea to Summit stuff sack for my sleeping bag. And the reason I wanted to do this was so that it gave me a little more room and it could conform to the inside of my pack. So the other thing I decided was that since all of my sleep gear is the last thing that I need, I'm just going to put it all right in there. And I have the space to do it. So, pillow in there. Sleeping base layer pants in there. Sleeping socks in there. And my base layer shirt, which I happen to be wearing right now, goes in there. And then away goes the sleeping bag. And then I just stuff all of this right down in the bottom of my pack. It's all stowed away, all together, all dry, and it fits pretty nicely in my pack. And I don't have to worry about any of it. It's all together in one. It's pretty self-contained, pretty easy, and that's a nice adjustment I think that I've made. I'm pretty happy with that solution. I almost forgot one of my favorite additions to my kit here was my stamp, which I made for myself so I could stamp passports and logs and whatnot. And I made this stamp while I was staying at Amicalola Lodge. Took the kit with me to make it, and but I didn't have a pad. And luckily, my new friend Duff had a pad at her house. Overall, I'd say that I've focused more on warmth rather than wind and rain, and I think I probably should have balanced that a little bit better. The wind is blowing almost constantly up on the ridge, and when you get wet and fighting those winds, it gets pretty rough. I think that's all I've got for you for now. Just figured I'd give you a little update on the gear and how it's all working out, what's shaking out as I continue to move. I'm day 12 on this hike. Today's technically day 13, 0. And I'm going to get back out tomorrow and try to make it from Wyabald to Weserbald, and then take it from there. So, hopefully I'll catch you on the trail.